Hey folks, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I have a pretty exciting one for you, and that is because I recently went on a vacation where I went to go see Blink 182 in Orlando, Florida, but I also stayed with a friend of mine who lived in Newport Richey, Florida, which is near Clearwater, which is the home of Cliff Stephens, the home course of Ken Climo, 12-time world champion, as well as the home of a modern-day behemoth in Calvin Heimburg, who is often considered a top 5 player in the world. So it was really cool to get to play the home course of, you know, a legend such as Ken Climo in this world of disc golf and all of his accomplishments, you know, his 12-time world championship status, the US DGC wins he's gotten, all the majors he's accomplished, and just being such a storied player in disc golf. And then, of course, Calvin Heimburg kind of representing that next generation of player who is also very consistently a top player on tour. And so it was cool to get to go play their home course out in Clearwater, Florida at Cliff Stephens. I played the long tee pads to all of the longest green basket positions. I didn't play the gold layout, as that is a little bit crazy, but I did play all the long tees to the longest basket positions possible. All of the longest green basket positions, as they had just played a tournament the day before I went and filmed this. They had some type of flex start on Saturday for some type of league that they were doing across multiple different courses in kind of the Tampa area. And so they had the course set up in one of the, I guess, longer and more difficult arrangements to support that. They were not playing the gold layout either. They were playing the layout that I'm playing. So I basically played the exact same layout as what MPO would play on the green baskets for, you know, tournament play and stuff of that nature. I think there was maybe 2 holes I played the short pad on, but I played longs pretty much the entire time, and I'll talk you through all of it. But without further ado, let's get into the round. All right, so hole 1 is a 423-foot par 3. Basket's kind of just up center. I think everything left of this sidewalk is probably out of bounds, so I played a big turnover with my Fission Wave. There we go. Most of the time I was dealing with tailwind, so this were flying a little bit more stable than normal. Also, I'll admit that since I was on vacation, I had been kind of in party mode the night before, you know, having fun at dinner at a couple of drinking establishments with my buddy who lived in the area. So I wasn't in, like, the best condition coming into this, but I really wanted to take advantage of the opportunity to play this course. This is hole 2. It was 364 feet. And one of the different things about this course that you notice is just all these Spanish oak trees, the Spanish moss, the low ceilings you have to contend with because of them. It's a constant challenge throughout the course as I grab myself another par. Now here's hole 3. This is 288 feet. Obviously, you got the swamp here to the left you want to avoid. Bassett's kind of just up to the right. Throwing my Halo Conqueror, which is basically a PD2. Through exactly the flex line I was looking for, but didn't quite check up to the top of the hill here, so kind of putting from the roots. But able to put it in for birdie, so 1 down through 3. Love that. A little bit quick here, sorry. This is hole 4. It's about 318 feet. Had that Mando. There's a swamp to the left, so I played it pretty safe, knowing I couldn't really punch a forehand with the low ceiling and everything really up to the basket. And I was able to get my par and move on. As we get to hole 5. There it is, hole presented by Ken Climo. But yeah, this was a kind of just a 360-foot par 3 basket. Kind of dead straight ahead. You can see the green kind of in between some of those trees. And so this time I was throwing my Halo Maya, which is generally an understable disc. But again, the Halo plastic makes it a bit more stable. And I was also dealing with tailwind. And I put this on a decent amount of hyzer. So it mostly just kind of popped up the straight and then kind of gently faded out. I'm just kind of pitching up here. Not the best pitch up, I would say. Be able to grab another par.
Well, one of those black ones with the red beak.
One of the mini birds making lots of noises out here. And that was my friend's girlfriend that was hanging out with us.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what kind of bird that is, but if you're local to the area, nature appreciation. And there's a gator. Gotta have at least one gator spotting out at Cliff Stephens. Or just the Florida in general. So yeah, about a 6 or 7 foot gator there. As we get into the next hole. Another hole that was about 360 feet, hole 6. Did that Halo Maya again, this time a little bit flatter. But still didn't quite put enough on it, so I kind of got caught up here in these early trees. Just pitched it up there. Gave it a little bit of a kind of half bid, but took the par. And as we get to hole 7, 310 feet. Instead of attacking through one of these tighter gaps on the left-hand side, I decided to go wide right. But wide right, the water definitely comes into play. So I was throwing kind of a spike hyzer to avoid all that. And this was my iBlend Emperor. Of course, shout out to the sponsor, Infinite Disc. And gave myself a birdie putt here from probably about 30 feet away. But again, the birds chirping. I thought I nailed that, but just inch low. As we get to hole 8, water on the left, 330 feet. Through my Halo Czar, kind of a baby Emperor. Thought this was going to be great, but that flare skip, dude. Let's look at that flare skip again. This is maybe one of the biggest flare skips I've ever gotten on a throw. I needed to throw this a lot flatter and more outside, obviously, so not a good throw, but just bounced, flew forever, and yeah, I never got that disc back. So if you're playing hole 8 at Cliff Stephens, there is a Halo Czar in there, and I'd love to have it back. If you reach out to me, I'll make it worth your while to give it back to me. But anyway, wound up bogeying that hole because of the OB in the water, so now I'm back to even par. And we just played, this is hole 9. This is 382 feet.
Woodpecker.
Little woodpecker action for you, keeping the nature appreciation moments going. And so with it being 382 feet, I wound up being about 40, 50 feet short and didn't make the putt. So now we're on hole 10. This is another 360-foot hole. Water carry is like 270. Going with that Halo Maya again. Again, just kind of threw it on too much hyzer and had the tailwind going as well. Made the clearance of the water fine. Threw it about 300 feet or so. So just a little pitch up from about 60, 70 feet away and took the par. And as we get to hole 11. And yeah, so what I was saying is generally I'd like to take this side because it's the most wide open gap with like a forehand. This is only about 280 feet, so I definitely had the forehand power to get there over the front of the short pad. But there were people fishing over here, so I decided to play the harder shot, which is one of like these little low gaps with my Halo Aztec. And I actually didn't realize this, but this is like a ditch in front of the basket. Didn't know that when I was playing because I was playing the course blind. I'd never been here before. I had seen like one video I think Casey White put out at this course from last year. That's really the only knowledge I had of the course coming into this. So yeah, went Halo Aztec, decently overstable disc in the Halo plastic, caught a tree. But honestly, that tree kind of saved me because otherwise I was probably going to go in this ditch, which I'm not sure if that would have played as OB or how the rules work at this course, but just a long jump putt approach to take another par. So we get to hole 12. This is 340-ish. Threw a pretty good shot with the sword there as we had a crow invade us and got quite close to us there, as you can see. But yeah, I just didn't quite have enough juice. I was just not in it today. I wasn't feeling very explosive or athletic this day. But I was just happy to appreciate the course, as this was a very beautiful piece of property. And again, kind of a legendary course considering the names it's tied to with Ken Climo and Calvin Heimburg. This is hole 13, about 280, but I went way over the top, so that was very unnecessary. I could have just thrown through the gap straight at the basket and maybe had a chance at birdie, but I kind of wanted to go for the fun play and still gave it a semi-decent bid from a further away as we get to another nature appreciation moment. Very pretty moth here in the grass. It was cool just taking in all the natural beauty of this place as we get to this hole, just I think 320-ish feet. Or actually in the long pin position that we were playing, I think it was maybe a little bit longer than that. Maybe closer to 350. It was funny because some of the basket positions on UDIS were labeled as inactive, but they were the ones that were in place for the tournament that they had played the day before. So, yeah, this is like 350 feet. Wound up being about 50, 60 short.
15,
Part of that one.
15. You can kind of see the basket to the left here, like the 2 trees straight ahead. See it?
Yep.
Yeah, so it's got this big right lane.
Yeah, I'm kind of doing a voiceover because I didn't really get to talk much during the video because there was, people around, and I was hanging out with, a friend and his girlfriend and, my fiance who was filming. And so I kind of didn't really talk too much during the round, just kind of have fun and hang out. So that's why I'm kind of voicing it over here a little bit. This is another Halo Maya. Just threw it a little too low.
That's like the deadest skip of all time.
And so left myself well short of the basket here. But again, I wasn't so worried about performance. I was just, having fun this day. I figured I'd kind of talk you through the course a little bit. As hole 16 is normally a super long, like 480 to 540 foot shot from the long tee. And some more nature appreciation here, some more birds. And the long pad was kind of over here to the left. And there was this peninsula that you see this basket at over here. And you could basically lay up to this peninsula and then throw over to the basket because it was like a 450 foot water carry to get to like this side from the long pad because again it's like a 540 foot thing. So basically to clear the water to the basket would have been about 450, and even to clear like this water here and land over here somewhere from the long pad was still going to take like well over 300 feet. And then even if you do lay up on this peninsula to avoid having to come over here, you have to walk all the way around this basket, all the way around, all the way up the peninsula, throw your up shot, then walk all the way back. And so I decided to play the short pad on this hole, which even from the short pad, this hole was 440 feet, very long par 3. As you could tell, I was a little bit scared of that water to the left after having already lost a disc earlier in the round and knowing that this is very swampy, alligator-infested water, so I wasn't trying to mess around. So I just pitched up, took a par, and moved on to hole 17. This is 384. OB sidewalk to the left. You can kind of see the basket's basically just dead straight ahead of me. But I'm playing, wide right to stay away from the OB. Do that Halo Maya again, but this time I turned it over too much. But with it being 380 feet, I wasn't getting to the basket anyway. Honestly, don't quite throw that far. And so I was able to just kind of pitch up and grab my par. And then head into hole 18. Now, hole 18 did have a long pad that was further back, which would make this hole like a 600-foot par 4. Maybe a little over 600 feet. But there was like a big group of guys behind us playing. And there was a little bit of a backup on this hole because someone had lost their disc ahead of me, kind of up here. I was actually helping them try to find the disc. And then this group of like 8 people came up behind me. So to kind of speed up pace of play, we moved to the short pad on this hole. And also the storm was coming in. We could start hearing lightning and thunder kind of coming in behind us. And it was about to start raining, which it actually rained on us as soon as we got back to our car and got in and was leaving the park. It started pouring down rain. So we just got this round in before the weather got bad, which was really lucky. So this short pad, this was a par 4, the only par 4 on the course that we played. And it was like 480 feet, which is pretty short for a par 4. I do admit that. But anyway, we did play the short pad for this hole because of the weather and, the group behind us and the backup and all that jazz. So here I am about to forehand one of my Esplin Emperors. As there is a peanut gallery here next to me, kind of razzing me a little bit, the locals. And it was a good time, man. They were awesome dudes. As I wound up throwing a really good forehand here, leaving myself a very easy, like less than 100 foot, or maybe right at 100 feet for the upshot. So threw about a maybe 340, 350 foot forehand there with the tailwind, and then tapped in a par. And so, not that it really matters, but this was my scorecard at the end of the round. I got that birdie on hole 3, bogeyed hole 8 because I went in the water off of just like a crazy flare skip off my drive, and then basically parred out from there, and then wound up getting the birdie on hole 18. The only short pads I played were 16 and 18, just because 16 would have required a ton of walking if I would have just played the safe play to the peninsula and then took a par anyway. So I just played the short pad and played it super safe and took par. And then hole 18, again, played the short pad because of the kind of backup we had going on. And we were running out of time before the bad weather came in. So And I was also playing with a buddy who doesn't play disc golf very much, and he was having to play the short pads anyway. So just to kind of speed things up, we did wind up playing the short pad on 18. But I played the longs on holes 1 through 15 and then on 17 as well, to all the longest pin positions besides the gold layout, which has the gold baskets. But, played the green baskets, the normal, course that is usually played. And had a pretty good time. It was pretty cool getting to shoot at 1 under par when I wasn't feeling the best and when I was playing blind. But anyway, it wasn't really about scores, just about having fun. And man, I had a ton of fun playing this course. And so, folks, that's going to do it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I certainly did. This is one of my favorite videos I've made. I don't get to travel and play disc golf too much. I'm usually just kind of playing disc golf in my local area in southern Alabama. Maybe every now and then I get to like the Florida Panhandle or into Mississippi and Louisiana. But it was really cool to get to, as part of a vacation I was taking, get to come to the Clearwater, Florida area and get to play the home course of the legend Ken Climo, as well as the home course of, one of our modern day best players in Calvin Heimburg. Get to see their stomping grounds. Also met a couple of cool people along the way that I got to chat with that were locals and were kind of helping me out, finding places and things of that nature. So I really appreciate those folks I ran into. And yeah, folks, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please follow and subscribe. I'll obviously have more content coming soon. I got a few tournaments coming up, so some practice rounds will be coming out. And, maybe try to get some more reviews in. I might try to film like a lesson I'm taking here soon from a couple different buddies of mine who are trying to help out my throwing. So lots of content coming. So yeah, hopefully, folks, if you're not already, please do subscribe to the channel. It really does help out a lot. Also, all my socials are linked down below. Following there also helps out a ton. Leave a comment, leave a like as well if you don't mind, as again, everything is always helpful for that YouTube algorithm. But without further ado, I'm signing out. I'll see you next time.